I recently tested RTX 5050 and said that for the current price it's not only competing with more powerful RTX 5060, but also with some used options. And today I want to show you one of them. This is the RTX 3070, which can be found for the exact MSRP of 5050 or even cheaper. It was released almost 5 years ago and supposed to replace a top-tier 2080 Ti, being twice as cheap, although with less RAM, and it did that quite successfully, so let's compare it with the new 5050 and try to find out which one deserves your attention and money. I was very surprised when I first saw almost identical results in Cyberpunk at Full HD with Ultra preset. With no ray tracing and upscaling, both cards showed from 70 to 90 frames per second with average around 85. But then I realized that we might be CPU bound. I have a regular Ryzen 5700X without 3D cache, and RAM is clocked at 360 MHz. Appropriate base for this type of cards, but with AM5 system the difference probably would be bigger, because in native Quad HD we can see how 3070 is almost touching 60 FPS without the need for upscaling, and 5050 is dropping below 40. In Quad HD but with DLSS in quality mode, RTX 3070 is also faster. But now the difference is much less noticeable. 5050 runs at 66 FPS on average, and 3070 at 78. So if you play without the metering overlay, it would be hard to tell them apart. Of course, in case if you don't use frame generation, because 3000 series cards don't support it. Alan Wake 2, native Full HD, high preset, also without rays and DLSS to compare the raw performance. Here 3070 pulls ahead more confidently with almost 20 FPS lead. 50 versus 68 on average. In Quad HD the difference is less impressive, about 8 to 10 frames, but 5050 dips below 30 sometimes, and 3070 is consistently closer to 40. And 3070 holds the lead with DLSS in quality mode, giving 65 to 68 frames per second against 40 to 50 on the newer RTX 5050. Space Marine 2, with Ultra preset but textures set to medium, and in native Full HD. Here both cards are showing similar results again. Technically 3070 is slightly faster, but without the meter they would be indistinguishable. In Quad HD with quality DLSS the difference is even less. Now they are both hovering around stable 60. And here again we bump into CPU or engine limitation, because I tried to set DLSS to ultra performance on 3070 and didn't get any significant gains. Frame rate just doesn't go beyond 65. Expedition 33. Here 5050 just reaches 60 FPS with some dips, and in battles it can go below 50. That with high preset in Full HD. 3070 sits very comfortably above 70 and dipped just below 60 in the battle. In native Quad HD 3070 is 10 to 15 FPS faster. And so in Quad HD with quality DLSS. Not like 5050 is significantly worse. Both cards have a comfortable frame rate with smooth time graph with no lags, so you can play the game with no problems on both of them. But 3070 is just faster. And Doom the Dark Ages. Ultra preset with TAA in Full HD, and 3070 also showing 10 to 14 frames per second more. By the way, enabling path tracing makes the game unplayable on both cards. There is even no reason to compare the frame rate. Full HD with DLSS in quality mode gives a very nice boost to 5050, so it stays above 60 most of the time. But 3070 is covering above 70 and touching 80 sometimes. So there might be a bigger difference between these cards with a faster CPU. But I don't think that you will look at $250 GPU for a fresh DDR5 system. But anyway, what would I recommend? 3070 or 5050? Honestly, at this point, neither of them. 3070 is faster, but now it's already a 5 years old card. It is fine if you bought it somewhere in 2020, you still can comfortably play even in Quad HD resolution, and that probably will be true for the next couple of years. But buying this card now is not ideal. RTX 5050 delivers very comfortable results in Full HD, and sometimes even in Quad HD with DLSS, and it also has frame generation. But it costs too much. At the beginning of August of 2025 the price is the same as 5060, and in that situation 5060 might be a better option than these two. I can't believe that I'm saying that, and beforehand I thought that 3070 would be an easy recommendation. I like this card and I like the leap that it made back in the day. But now for the difference in $50, 5060 is really better. Well, it's the same in terms of the performance, but it's 5 years newer. Well, post your thoughts on that in the comments and thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.